Hey guys, it's March 31st, 2016, and this is the Overdose Talk Show. Thank you very much for joining me. Just me, Vincent P. Micco here, all by myself tonight. Andrea is sick as shit. She's the worst person I've ever known in my entire life, just in terms of, like, being a person with a body that is able to do things and continue on living. She's been sick for fucking 3 months. She's got no voice. David Box joined the KKK and refuses to do the show anymore because he thinks we're too compassionate racially. I don't know. You can take that up with him on Facebook. Find his profile, David Box. I'm just gonna power through some stuff here. Hopefully a couple of my friends will call in and we'll just do a show. That's how we do it. I am sitting here in my living room above a little pizza restaurant here at the corner of Magazine and Napoleon Avenue in New Orleans. And it's getting warmer down here in Louisiana. All of the horrible fucking creatures that inhabit every crevice of this city are starting to awaken and emerge. That is the one thing you tend to forget. All winter, you have it so good down here. Everything is dormant. All of the cockroaches and fucking lizards and snakes and caterpillars and just weird shit. And everything's poisonous or dangerous in the South, too. This is the thing. You know, people down here get, like, brown recluse bites. I know that happens up north, but I know a few people down here. You know, everything has, like, a more dangerous fucking vibe down here as far as critters go. When you're from the Midwest, you're really spoiled in terms of, like, just, go run off barefoot through the woods, jump in a river. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're fine. You know, down here, I'm not going anywhere. There could be a fucking crocodile, a snake, some kind of horrifying spider. I've seen spiders down here, you know, and I've seen them up north too, but I've seen some giant motherfucking spiders down here. It's a different world, and all this stuff is starting to wake up now. I go out on my back porch to smoke, and there's, you know, like green, orange, white, yellow, black caterpillar with spikes that you're looking at it just, man, I know if I touch that thing, something bad is going to happen. Somehow that thing has the ability to poison me. I can just tell because I have instincts as a mammal, and that thing has bright colors and spikes, and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up when you're a pussy about bugs and snakes and things like that, like I am. But being from the Midwest, look, it's a fantasy land of just total there's nothing dangerous up there in as far as nature goes. What are you going to do? Get stung by a catfish? Get a leech? You know what I mean? It's nothing. Down here, it's just a whole different ballgame. My girlfriend wants to go out hiking and camping, and she's talking about swimming in a river, you know, an hour or two from here. Like, are you fucking crazy? We'll be ripped to pieces immediately. So, you know, if it's not a crocodile or an alligator, it's some sort of water snake that I don't know, you know, I don't know what they are, what they've got. Who knows? I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. I don't want any part of it. She's like, no, it's, you know, there's like these nice swimming holes and palisades and spillways and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck no, swimming hole. Like, that's supposed to make me feel better. Alligators and crocodiles hear you talking about a swimming hole. It's like dinner bells ringing. There was that crocodile in Africa that ate 23 fucking people at a swimming hole. I'm not going in a fucking swimming hole. I'm sorry. Just not. It's not happening. I will hike on a gravel trail in Louisiana, and I will watch my step. The same thing when I was a kid out in the desert. We saw a rattlesnake. I'm like, are you telling me we're doing a recreational activity where if I don't pay enough attention, a thing that could kill me might just spring up and bite me in the shin or whatever? No, this is not cool. This is not fun, you know? Anyways, that's my Midwestern, don't go in the ocean, don't go in the jungle, you know, very, very safe point of view on nature. Speaking of nature, boy, oh boy, This is a special occurrence. A bird landed on a podium that Bernie Sanders was speaking at. And my God, did everyone lose their fucking minds. I'm not going to go into the election tonight. I'm so fucking sick of talking about these idiots. I might do a little something on Gary Johnson. I'm not just because we haven't gotten into him at all, but I got to give it a rest as far as the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It's just, it's too idiotic. I can't go into it anymore right now. But we're going to do this one quick thing on Bernie Sanders because I thought it was interesting, and there's some points about the video that I wanted to make. Oh, whoops. Oh, my goodness gracious. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. I got this ready now. Let's check out this video. Bernie Sanders
he or she
giving a very inspirational speech, I'm sure,
seriously,
here.
Does well, take school.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because you're going to hear this little tittering kind of laughter. And I'm just going to point out, if you haven't seen this video, pull up another tab while you're listening to this, turn the sound down on that video, and just so you can check it out along with me. Everybody behind Bernie Sanders in this crowd is a nerd. And I'm not talking about like nerd where it's like cool because you are good looking and affluent and have all the traits that a cool person would have. However, you put on the right clothing and glasses and watch Star Wars and you're a nerd. I'm talking about these people look shitty. They just look like people that you wouldn't hang out with, and maybe even would make fun of at school or something because they're just awkward. They seem sort of maladjusted. Body language is off. Their clothes are kind of ill-fitting and not stylish. They're not like you know what I mean? It's not like a nerd like in nerd culture. Supposedly, is that whatever that's supposed to be? They're just like, ugh, just kind of shit-looking people. Whatever. Not to get too petty about it. You guys know what a real nerd is. Okay, that's who these people are. And you hear this tittering right here at the beginning of the video, and what that is they're all noticing that a bird landed on the stage. And much the way you would if you were in second grade, listening to a boring assembly and a bird landed somewhere near a podium, a bunch of these people start excitedly pointing at the bird and laughing and like putting their face in their hands and, oh my God, a bird. I truly, for the life of me, don't fucking understand how such a large group of people could be so impressed by something so insignificant and it's politics. That's right. Okay. So here's when they first see the bird.
Seriously, does well, take school.
These nerds start laughing, pointing. Oh my God, a bird. They're pointing. Look, a bird. Oh, what is it? And here the bird's about to flutter up. They're cheering now. The bird hasn't flown onto the podium. They're cheering because Bernie Sanders noticed a bird. Because he stopped and he looked and said, what? Because they're all pointing like fucking idiots, like children. I guess this is kind of the mentality of a lot of these people. Not saying that, the other side is any better. You gotta fucking add that caveat to everything or else, I'm a Trump supporter now. This childlike crowd is totally blown away that Bernie Sanders noticed a bird. And I swear to God, that's all that's happened so far. Oh, he's laughing. Oh, my goodness, a bird.
This little bird doesn't know it.
Oh, and there's where the bird flutters up onto the podium. And at the bottom left of the screen, this fat girl, white girl, in a Black Lives Matter shirt. Not that a white person shouldn't think Black Lives Matter, but, it's this typical kind of white knight, no personality, nothing to contribute, but virtue signaling sort of person is what it looks like, okay? Kind of a masculine-looking girl in a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and a leather jacket. As you all know, that's what us men love, is women in with broad shoulders and leather jackets. Sorry, okay, look. Not to be mean, but this is like one of the ugliest girls I've ever seen. So is the girl behind her. And this fucking girl just loses her mind. She thinks this bird flying up to the podium is perhaps the greatest thing she's ever seen. So you got that, and she's doing like the Arsenio Hall fist pump, and all of these people just giddily. I mean, it's like the footage of the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. These fucking twats feigning. And a bunch of and all these bearded femi guys and awkward looking weirdos just going nuts over this bird. And then it flew away. Now that's cool too that it flew away. We're cheering more.
I think there may be some symbolism here.
And that's his brilliant ad lib. This awe-inspiring, intelligent man. You're gonna see how good this guy is in the moment, thinking on his feet. I think there's some symbolism here. They all go nuts again. What's the symbolism? The bird is the American people overcoming their clipped wings and fluttering up to the podium of freedom and prosperity for everyone, regardless of color of skin or, where am I? What year is it?
I know it doesn't look like it, but that bird is really a dove asking us for world peace. No more wars.
That's just a little bit better than what was the name of the aliens? Kane and whatever. The aliens that were, controlling candidates on The Simpsons. Abortions for everyone. Boo! Abortions for none. Boo! Abortions for some. Tiny American flags for others. He did a little bit better than like an alien who just learned to communicate in English would do. That bird is a dove. It's a small green bird, stupid. Yeah, okay. He said it doesn't look like it. Fine. But that's his ad lib? That's what you got? This is your fucking guy?
Symbolism here. I know it doesn't look like it, but that bird is really a dove asking us for world peace.
Yeah.
No more wars.
No more wars. That's creative. Oh, and the fat girl is holding up a peace sign very assertively. She's really, really saying peace right now. Like, she's saying peace, but fucking, she's saying it hard. You know what I mean? I think that's all he says here. A future to believe in, written on the little plaque there. That's nice.
In any case.
Yeah, I saw so many people sharing that with this weird glee of just, oh, the bird has spoken. Is that how idiotic this has gotten? Is that how childlike? I think it's really indicative, though. Honestly, what group of self-respecting, hardworking, grown adults do you know that would do anything other than sort of just maybe just bird there? Yeah, bird landed there. That's kind of funny. You might get a little there's a bird from any self-respecting adult. What is this childlike mentality of freaking the fuck out? Like I said, like a second grade class, man. It really is indicative of the immaturity of the mindset that causes you to look for a political savior, I feel like. I've watched it a bunch of times. There's a bunch of funny, I'm not going to go into all of them, but you can check the video out and check out these people in the background and just kind of how stupid they look and how funny it is on your own. But there you go. That's my observation on that. And I hope all of you had a wonderful time at that rally. And I hope you're revolution was safe, friendly, and fun. And I hope you get a lot done. We got this argument in New Orleans right now about removing statues of Confederate icons and heroes such as Robert E. Lee, or I think there's another one now about Andrew Jackson, because there's a place called Jackson Square here with a big statue of Andy Jackson, the Indian killer. And I think this is an interesting topic because on one hand, typically we associate the removal of statues with attempts to erase or rewrite history, or perhaps you associate them with violent regime change in a lot of, usually in the Middle East. I almost said Middle West, where the fuck that came from. In the Middle East, or volatile areas, Northern Africa, Eastern Europe, whatever. You typically associate this stuff with some pretty negative, circumstances in society and some pretty negative trends. Yet, in this country, we're going to have to reconcile the fact at some point that, a lot of people have become and pushed in textbooks and in mainstream history as heroes that really were bad guys by our standards today, morally. Nobody that I know of is proud of the fact that our government, and our I guess our culture and our ancestors, for some people who didn't come here in the 30s, like most of us, most of our families, at least if you're from Chicago, that there was a genocide here, that this was done by our government and our culture and our country. Now, I'm not pushing the idea that as a European American or someone with light skin that you need to feel some sort of collective guilt. I'm just saying we're going to have to reconcile this with the fact that people find it to still be a slap in the face to their culture to have, historical icons that treated specific cultures or skin colors badly at some point, and they have to look up and see this stuff in their own cities, and to someone who goes, hey, I think the Civil War was about slavery, even if it wasn't really the main thing and the average Southerner wasn't fighting for that reason. It was part of it, and it was part of what changed after the Civil War, and, it's not totally negligible. So if they look up every day and to them it's this symbol of, or a Native American person looking at Andrew Jackson's statue and saying, fuck, man, this guy slaughtered everybody who was part of my race and my culture, and we're going to have to deal with this as a society somehow and go, man, maybe they have a legitimate complaint that this stuff that's basically insulting to their existence in some cases is propped up like like these guys were heroes. And now that is what, and even though removing a statue isn't erasing history, leaving a statue is symbolic, and is a form of reverence for that historical figure. And it doesn't say on the statue, hey, by the way, this guy wasn't really that good of a dude, he kind of killed a bunch of Indians. It just says all the fucking pseudo-heroic and military accomplishments and blah, 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 So it's not really fair. However, if you're going to start tearing things down, guess what? Everyone has done something bad, so there is the old slippery slope theory of, this might sound stupid to somebody who's really angry about the history and of how their culture was treated here, but to me it is a real concern. How far does it go? How many things get torn down? There's a statue of Ignatius O'Reilly here, who is the main character in a book called Confederacy of Dunces, and that guy was a total prick in that book. It's a fictional book, and a lot of people have read it. I think the guy's name was John Kennedy O'Toole or something that wrote it, who killed himself before it was published. His mom found the manuscript and got it published, and it became an amazingly kind of cult, classic book. There's a statue of him. I don't want to see that come down. That's really the only one I care about, honestly. But But at some point, you gotta consider that too. Is this going to lead to a never-ending witch hunt, and people just out there, like we see with a lot of language policing today, people just looking for reasons to be offended rather than addressing things which actually are hateful or offensive. So, that's kind of where I'm at on it, in this weird limbo of critical thought. How do you like that? That's what you get when you don't align with political parties. My old friend Tom is on the phone and said he might have a thing or two to add to this. What's up, Tom?
Hey, what's up, man?
So what do you think in general, I guess without asking you to sort of make a blanket statement on the whole philosophy of statue removal, what do you think about the trend that we're seeing now about, like, this kind of all started with the Confederate flag stuff a couple years ago, and people, one side kind of looking at it as, look, we want to preserve our history and our culture, and the other side saying, stop putting these symbols and statues in places of public reverence when they were actually bad guys,
Well, first of all, let me just clear up one thing that you said.
Okay.
I've never been your friend.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to be presumptuous.
Yeah,
a guy that I've gotten shit-faced wasted with probably 20, 30 times, with usually a couple months in between. But yeah, what is your take on this? Because me and you typically disagree on things like this once in a while, so I was kind of wondering.
We do. I mean, I'm not going to be a good counterpoint on this, just because I'm kind of on the same page. I don't know. People are always going to find something to be offended by.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, I get it, and I do understand there's a legitimate, okay, so there's a lot of different sides of this in my mind. You have the one side of these really are, when the Confederate flag, okay, this is a funny thing to me. When the Confederate flag discussion started, now you're down south.
Yeah.
I'm up as north as you could get. You go one more state north, you're out of the country.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm as far into the Union as you could possibly get. And people here were and still are, but were bitching about, they're going to take down the Confederate flag. Why? Because those fuckers are bitching. I'm like, those fuckers, they have nothing to do with Confederacy, and you never have. You're an Italian guy from Chicago. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck does it matter? So all I saw was that it really just, these type of things to me are a bigger thing, and just they show the latent, racism that really does still exist, and that everyone somehow tries to deny and tries to act like we're past that. I had black friends. I only don't like those thugs. No. There's still rampant racism, and that's one thing that I think this is just showing. It's the same thing where, of course, the KKK and white supremacists, of course, they're going to be upset. You know what I mean? They're going to be upset at anything. The Black Lives Matter, any kind of movement that has anything to do with,
but that's such a small number of people that are actually that fucking race obsessed, and I know what you mean about there still being rampant racism, but I'm a little confused as to the definition of a racist, and I'm also a little bit confused as to why it's dangerous and why it's not just a thing that's going to die out through social evolution.
It probably will. Here's why. Okay, this is why. In my mind. Well, here, let me just say, to me, a racist is not someone, obviously all of us understand. Look, I'm part Mexican, and the Mexican side of my family, a lot of these people have display what you would think of as stereotypical Mexican, attributes. They do.
Right.
That's just there's a reason for stereotypes to an extent.
And I will say that of all culture, I was just gonna say, of all cultures that get stereotyped, Mexicans might live up to it the best of anybody.
They might. They're cheech. You know what I mean? They really, it's ridiculous almost. But you've known a lot of, urban black folk.
Sure.
I have too. And there are a lot of stereotypes, even people. And the funny thing is,
yes, I'm a friend of the Negro. Sure.
What's that?
I said I'm a friend of the Negro. Sure, I am, Tom.
Sure. I am really, I don't know, you're like coming in and out. I can't really hear you that well. I don't know what's happening here.
Sorry, the Skype will, if you make noise while you're on the Skype, it will like activate a gate.
Cancel you out.
Yeah, so you won't hear me. So whatever,
okay.
we just have
I got it.
We have to try to have a civilized, like, back and forth more. But
yes, of course.
But anyways, your point about okay, so I've known plenty of people of different cultures, so have you, and what is your point?
So, my first point is racism. I don't think. Okay, so some people are ultra sensitive, and I don't agree with. I think there's just a hypersensitivity in our culture now in all kinds of different ways. People are, you can't say gay anymore. It's like, come on, man, just shut the fuck up.
I know, but also there's.
I'm not calling. By me saying something's gay, it's just a fucking part of the vernacular. It is.
Right.
I'm not going to change the way I talk because you aren't happy and comfortable with yourself, so you get offended and you have to look at the people. Are they criticizing me? Shut the fuck up, man. Be happy with yourself. Don't fucking worry about what other people are saying.
Dude, I've made the point a bunch of times that, like, even take it further with the word faggot, just being a word that you have used your whole life for, like, a guy that's acting weak. However, I've said that word thousands of times, and never once have I, that I remember, and certainly not as a habit, have I said that about a person who is actually gay. Because it almost seems too easy. It's too on the nose. It's just being a schoolyard bully at that point. So it's like, don't act like the way words are used commonly doesn't have some weight. Totally. But there's also a hypersensitivity on the other side who, like, a lot of people feel like they're put in this constant defensive position about free speech and blah, 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 that they won't even consider the idea that maybe we should have a cultural conversation about how polite it may or may not be to use certain words or to think about phrasing things a certain way. So it's like on both sides, it just becomes this knee-jerk circus of pushing your view no matter how illogical it becomes, No,
I get that. But so to me, it would be more offensive for somebody if they were calling my sister like a pig more than a stick.
Well, yeah, because you're Muslim.
Because or like a guy calling like a girl, like a pig more than a bitch. A bitch is like something like you call people. Yeah. Shut up, you bitch. But like if somebody's a true asshole, they're like, oh, no, that she's a dirty pig. He actually means that. You know what I'm saying? He's
right.
Not. There is a certain amount of understanding. You have to. You can tell. I mean, as humans, we don't communicate purely verbally. I mean, we understand intonation, inflection. You know what I mean? Body language. All of these things these sub-communications are actually far more than the actual verbiage. So I don't think that, so we're kind of digressing here, but
right, yeah.
I think it's an important part of this, in a way, because I think there's a hypersensitivity. Now, that being said, just because, it's Joe Rogan was recently kind of attacked by people saying he was making racist statements about this rapper, about this fighter, because he said that he ate so much chicken, because this guy almost had a heart attack and died after his fight. And he was like, I could have said pizza. He's like, I wasn't saying chicken because the guy's black.
Right.
I was saying chicken because the guy eats a shitload of fried chicken, and he almost had a fucking heart attack and died in the ring. He wasn't hurt by the fight. He was hurt by his ill health.
Sure.
So when people are mad at, you associated chicken, he's black, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? This I don't like. I don't care for this at all.
There seems.
I think we need to get past. I like you just were saying the word faggot. I mean, it's a word. These are all words. Honestly, I get more offended when I hear somebody say the N word because it's giving it such more gravitas. The word nigger is in dictionaries, or was up until it's a word. I get it. It was spewed with hate by a lot of hardcore bigots.
Right.
But it doesn't take the fact away that it was an actual word. Niggardly is a word. Something was done niggardly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a word.
And I'm not going to pretend, and neither are you, that there aren't a lot of white people that still use it in the traditional insulting way. But also, I would say a lot more white people and, a lot of black people, Mexicans, Asians, use it in the sense of dude, and I'm sorry, but, like, you can't expect the double standard of having the word used constantly in movies and popular music for 30 fucking years and then expect people not to fucking say it. It's just, it's ridiculous. There's a lot of it that's...
Honestly, I've said the word a million times. And I say it, I've literally never said the word, like you said, like pointedly at a black person in a racial, like me meaning like you're inferior to me, you're less than.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not ever. It's never. But when somebody's like, "Oh, come on," you know what I mean? Like, I'll say that. I don't give a shit. It's a fucking word, man. If you can't handle it, then you can't hang out with me. That's fine. I really don't care.
I know there's a lot.
That's fine.
I know there's a lot of like ultra sensitive people out there who think that the utterance of a certain word is a harmful act. So here's the deal, though. For real white people, who aren't supposed to use the word, any white person who's honest, and most people wouldn't say this publicly, any white person who's honest will tell you we all say it to each other as a joke because we're not supposed to. We all say it to each other in private, in private phone conversations, and when you meet up with your friends and nobody's listening, a lot of shit gets said. You call each other faggot and nigga and all kinds of shit.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you say a lot of stuff that you wouldn't say if a gay dude were there or a black dude were there or, whatever, because they might be offended. And so, it just not to be a dick, just in case, they might be offended. But none of it's meant with malice.
Right.
But that being said, I know a lot of people that I don't really, that aren't really, I wouldn't consider them close friends, but I've known them for years that do say it with malice.
Oh, you hear, white people know. We hear it because other white people sometimes think that if no one else is around, that they can go ultra racist, and even if you're not into that, they'll do it, and you'll be like, whatever, I'm not really like that. Yeah. And they'll go, oh, I'm not like that either, but you know what I mean? There's niggers and there's black people. It's a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll
this type of shit. They'll always cover their tracks. If they see that you're not like jumping on board, but if they see somebody that does jump on board, then they're off to the races.
Oh, then you're about to hear 35 fucking kind of funny jokes.
Yeah. Or just like political diatribes on how, this subculture of America is dragging everyone down with,
rap
with,
music.
Entitlements. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. And I kind of like that because it's so easy to just tear apart and make them look like the bigoted idiot that they are.
Right.
So I kind of goad people into that sometimes if I see that they're on that fence.
And I feel like guys that are still like that kind of archaically racist it's like they do it from an emotional place and a small amount.
No, they do it from fear.
Right, and a small amount of logic completely disables them, and they go, well, yeah, no, I know that, and they know they know
that.
Oh
yeah, no, totally.
They know they're.
It's like a program. It's like a behavioral pattern that they just.
They want to, and they want to.
It's like biting their nails or something, whatever.
Right, and they want to test other people to see what they can get away with, and how free is my speech still, and blah blah blah.
I agree.
So, anyways, let's get back.
That being said, it was just funny when the Confederate flag thing came up. I just saw a lot of, angry, wealthy white people in the North weighing in on it, and then I was just like, you have no opinion here. You're not Southern and you're not black. So you literally have no say in this.
Right, and a lot of people.
Not your fight.
A lot of people.
You don't have a dog in this fight. Shut up. And all you're doing now is literally just being racist by weighing in. That's it.
Right, and a lot of people took it, like I said before, as just another step in this like PC war that's going on, which I don't really think it deserves. I don't think it deserves the same connotation as that. I think that when talking about the Confederate flag, especially when you looked into the history of it and you found out it was actually the Virginia battle flag and wasn't even really a big part of the Confederacy, as it were, and it really was only brought back around into modern culture in the 60s in opposition to desegregation, and it was a blatantly racist thing to do. So, who cares? It's a flag.
Yeah, no,
it's a fucking,
whether or not it originated as a pro-slavery or I mean, which it did partly, but whether or not its roots were fully embedded in racism, its reemergence was definitely,
exactly.
People definitely shrouded themselves in this flag.
Sure.
To comfort themselves with their racist views. Lynchings and shit like this. This wasn't, and people are like, oh, slavery, that's been hundreds of years. I'm like, I'm talking about the 60s when they were lynching people down there. This is not that old. These are parents of people that are fucking our age right now that we're dealing with really nasty shit in the South,
Dude, I had another guy, which is, it happens every once in a while, and this is another thing most white people won't tell you if you're not white. A lot of us white people seem to think that slavery was 400 years ago. I know there's a there's a Louis C.K. bit about it where he talks about it, but that's true. That's why that's such a good bit, is because you've heard people say it. Oh, they're fucking bitching and sitting around on their porches doing nothing, doing drugs, wanting a handout. And, that shit what they're talking about was 400 years ago. You go, no, it was actually about exactly 150. And then shit was horrible until fucking 1997. So, just
think about that. Think about 150 years. If you're a well-lived person, that's 2 generations. That's 70 and 70.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that means from like if you were born today. If you're 30 today, you definitely knew some people that had fucking grandparents that were goddamn affected by something. This is not. Or great grandparents. It's not that far removed. We're not that far removed from it.
Yeah,
We'd like to think we are as white people, but I don't, because I don't.
If you're 30,
I'm not an idiot, but
if you're 30, 35 years old, it's easily conceivable that your grandparents met a slave, someone who was at one time a slave. That's how long ago it was. That should
and also, like you said. It's not like they were like, oh, they slaved over, everyone has jobs and everything's great. They were fought for at least a full generation. No, they weren't just hiring you at great jobs. They weren't just suddenly educated. You know what I mean? These people. That's the root of the problem of inner city black poverty. That's why they all centralized. They fucking were basically forced to live in communities where they could do business with each other because nobody else would do anything with them. They had to make their own schools because nobody would do that with that. You know what I mean? Segregation didn't stop until fucking Martin Luther King, for God's sake.
Right.
That's the 60s.
But
white schools, could you imagine that right now? White fucking water fountains and white bathrooms? That seems so archaic. That was fucking 40 years ago.
Well, dude, when I was a kid, I caddied at a golf course that black people weren't allowed to play at. And that was 2002. 2000, And they can get away with it because that's a private thing. That's not, that's you can still do that. You can have like no women and no black or no whatever the fuck you want, no left-handers, whatever. But all the other caddies were black. They were old fucking Uncle Tom black guys that they were like shoe shine guys, just like. Hey, son, how you doing? Yeah. It's doing the whole routine. And the fucking old rich white guys loved, you could tell, man, they had this old, this traditional sort of relationship of like, hey, put on a little nigger show for me, Oh, Dad, oh, yes, Master, let me get your bag, and tell a little joke and shit.
Yeah, it's a pickaninny stereotype that was in like old movies.
Right? Yeah, completely.
We're like, I don't see a ghost. Yeah. Okay.
And guess what?
And that actor would like stop acting and go home and like, fuck you, like do heroin and shit.
Guess what?
He was a real person and knew his life sucked even though he was in a movie.
Guess what it was like in the caddy house as the only white caddy. fucking horrible. That's what it was like. They hated me. They fucking hated all white people, but I wasn't giving them $85 tips at the end of an hour and a half of work, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they hated
if anyone
me.
wants to pretend that racism is not ingrained in our society still, they're fucking retarded.
Right, it's
and that's another word that I don't like trying to fuck around with. Retarded is a word.
Okay, but
I'm not saying that it's
how about this, though?
to a Down syndrome child. I'm saying it's fucking stupid, it's retarded.
How about
and
this?
It's not normal.
Let me ask you this. Yes, okay, so we've talked about the white racism. How about the fact that white racists are the only thing being addressed popularly in culture right now when we are arguably, and I know I've been talking about the secret white conversations that go on, but honestly, from what I've seen in my lifetime, whites that I've known are the least racist because we've been trained to be very sensitive. And you'll remember if you're probably between like 25, 35, whatever, and up to even younger, that when we were kids, this was driven into our heads over and over because the previous generation felt a little guilty, I think. And we were trained to be extremely sensitive to race and religion and things like that. And most white people that I've known in my generation try really hard not to be racist. I'll say that. And most Mexicans I've known who have been a lot less shy about it. Most black people can say whatever the fuck they want, as fucked up as it is about white people. So we're still dealing with this double standard of only white racism is being addressed, and I don't like that either. You know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, and I don't. As much as I do recognize the inequality of the impact of racism, you know what I mean, like. Black racism doesn't. I mean, you could have 1,000 black people calling me a cracker. It's not going to do shit. I could give.
We don't care. That's the thing too. We don't give a shit.
They don't have any power in our society as a majority. They're not. You know what I mean?
Right.
White people, as a group, thinking down on black people has an effect on their lives. Black people not liking white people and hating them or whatever. As a whole, doesn't do shit to our lives. We still got everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
But it also translates in ways like a lot of people have been the victim of physical attacks that would be called hate crimes if they were the other way or whatever. You know, black on white violence.
No, that's totally true.
Black on white violence massively dwarfs white on black violence when we have like an 8-to-1 population ratio in favor of whites. So that's a weird. You know, that's a weird state of affairs too. Is like it does manifest in a lot of individuals being hurt or assaulted based on the color of their skin. You know, you see it a lot from like.
I do agree. I do agree with that, but I think that's more of a poverty problem. If you were to take black on black versus black on white, black on black is a skyscraper compared.
Yeah, I'm sure that's. I'm sure that's probably true. But
it's
the idea. I'm just kind of highlighting it because. If the idea is that racism is dangerous, well, it seems to manifest the opposite way that most people want to think it does, you know. And now institutionalized racism and the racism of job opportunities and blah, 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 you know.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, like the actual structural racism and inequality. That's a real thing. I mean, they've done a million studies. I'm sure you've probably seen this where they did a study, or they did like a little experiment, or they've done it a few times, but they have two baby dolls, a white one and a black one, and they ask all these like little toddlers, 2 years old.
Oh,
which one's prettier?
Right.
And every one of them, even the black ones, pick the white baby doll.
Oh, and they say, they show a picture of like a white person and a black person, and they say, now which one is bad and which one is good. And without fucking fail. Right.
It's insane. That, to me, that is more indicative, and that's more telling than anything. When you see that children of 2 years old, they're barely even forming opinions, already have a formed opinion about whether black people or white people are better, that says that your whole culture has a fucking skew to it. Big time.
Sure.
That is a huge thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Yeah. And that's hard to even pick up. I watched that video months ago, and for anyone that hasn't seen it, I don't know, just look up toddlers race experiment or something. I don't know, but
I'm sure you'll find it.
It's basically a bunch of kids.
Unless they're dumb spick.
And who knows if they fucking edited it to look like that, and it was a lot more even across the board. I don't know.
Sure, I mean maybe
the way it looks.
Could be.
The way it looks is that a bunch of small kids are basically saying, hey, anytime there's a white person, that's the prettier or the safer or the nicer or the better, and they identify darker people as more dangerous or bad people or uglier or whatever.
Uglier, yeah, just negative. Just one's negative, one's positive.
Right, and I don't even know that if that's really happening and kids are picking up on it at like the age of 3 and 4, I'm not even sure where the indoctrination comes from at that point. You know,
I say, I mean, it's okay. So now I know we've deviated, but we'll get back to that anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break in a minute, and we'll get back to it. I was gonna say I'm gonna take a break in a minute, and then we'll hit back to the original topic when we come back.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, let's just quickly. I mean, it's pretty well known though that adult people of all color, but mostly, I'm saying mostly black people, they consider if you're born with white hair, you're lucky.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to a break. I was like, oh shit, did I lose it?
Oh, no.
Lighter skin, they're more desirable. Caramel skin, light skinned. You know what I mean? If you're born with broken hair, basically all they're doing their whole life is trying to get their hair to look white. You know what I mean? They contacts and they really. I mean, it's to me, it is an obvious manifestation that people just don't recognize for whatever reason. I don't know. But if your kids are, are self-hating as toddlers, and then the rest of you are just constantly trying to, look. It's weird. But
so what we're really hitting on here is self-hatred is being driven in different forms in every culture. It seems like probably the biggest enemy that we all have, really.
And that's true. And these are like overlying. That's the thing is when we come back, to this, that's my point. Is like all of these little things. Oh, they're going to take down this statue. Oh, they're going to do the back and forth banter and the dumb shit. These are all just little distractions and I don't think it's like being done intentionally by, Big Brother or something. I'm saying we look at things, all these little specific things. Nobody addresses the overall, massive broad stroke issues and says, this is a whole, can't see the forest for the trees. And that's just how humans are. It's fucking weird to me because I'm kind of the opposite these days, and I have been. I just look at everything as just like a big, co-conspiring fucking over. You
tend to see
shit like that.
You tend to see
it's so trivial.
No, yeah.
Oh, they're gonna take down the statue. Okay.
But then everyone's identifying every story as part of a trend, and they need to defend the narrative that they've invested in. And so
exactly.
And so we end up in just petty battles
just
over every little thing.
Fucking
dude,
stupid little bickering. That's all it does.
That's the first. Actually, I said that a bunch of times when the Confederate flag thing was a big deal, and I kept saying to people, I know you don't actually give a fuck about the stupid Confederate flag.
To fight about.
It's just a thing that you felt like you had to take a position on because it came up. And everybody gathered in the Coliseum on opposite sides to shout at each other, and that's what's fun to do. Great.
Mm-hmm. It's a big pep rally.
Don't tell me that half the people in this country give a fuck about a stupid flag that hasn't meant shit for many, 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 many years. And I'm not trying to...
And on the other side, I get it. It's a symbol of purity in a way, but I get it. Take it out of public forums, but don't try and dismantle. Oh yeah, it's just okay. It's a part of the history. Serve it as such. You know what I mean? whatever. Put it in the museum. You know, put it in museums. Put it in whatever the fuck.
You know what? Honestly,
everyone.
Or still put it on your car. Put it on your house. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever.
But people are saying we think it's insulting to have it literally at the courthouse. You know. But again, Again, what a joke. Because the issue every day at the courthouse should be how insulting it is for them to be prosecuting 98% fucking victimless crimes.
Yeah, I know.
You
that's
know?
the thing. See, that's what I'm saying right there. That's the irony. Black people screaming in the streets about a federal flag on a courthouse when that same courthouse, every day that they're out there yelling, is fucking prosecuting 98% black youth. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Address the real problems, man. Fuck the flag. Fuck all this, statism and nationalism. All of these things are literally, it's funny. It's almost like we're as humans we're coming out of this adolescent phase. And some people are, it's like a bell curve. You still have, you know how the bell curve works.
Sure. To
where, that bell shape is moving on, and most of the people are right in the middle. Right. They're coming out. They're starting to see that shit's not really that great the way we have it set up. And then you have the people in the front that it's barely gotten to yet, when people are far ahead. These are the engineers that are like, I've got a way to clean all the oceans up already. I'm 15. And then you got the people that are still lingering, that are like, I want my flag, But I think it's funny to watch, though, as a whole fucking entirety, in the whole scope of things. I just sit here and I'm like, if you just detach yourself from it and don't have any kind of, emotional attachment to any of it, it's pretty fucking hilariously entertaining.
It is.
To me, I don't know.
As we draw fodder from the circus that they call American culture every 4 or 5 days on this show, I'm gonna go to a quick break so I can go smoke and take a piss. Do you want to hang out and go back to the original topic when we get back?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. Talking to my old friend Tom up in Elmhurst. Another person appearing on the show with no credentials. We were supposed to write bios. My mom is actually making us a website. Finally, someone's helping us. So my mom's handling our website, and she's like, you guys want to have bios? I'm like, why? None of us have accomplished anything. So one loser and another, 1,000 miles apart, coming at you tonight on the Overdose Talk Show. Me and my friend Tom will be back in a few minutes. All right, we're coming back on the Overdose Talk Show. I want to say a quick thank you to anyone who subscribed based on our conversations on the Oregon militia or whoever the fuck those guys were. Got pretty into that, and thank you. We've had some subscribers that have told me they subscribe because of our views on police. We will get back to covering more police stories. We got arrested sometimes because 50 fucking 60 people every week, it seems like, are killed in horrendous circumstances by police, and we can't just keep listing them and reading the news articles. It just gets old after a while. So I want to thank you to the people, though, that have subscribed based on some of our basic viewpoints, and everybody who supports us. Let's get back to talking with my pal Tom about the original topic. So a lot of people want to tear down the statues in New Orleans and in other cities. I'm sure this is going on. I live here in New Orleans, so I've heard a lot more about it. Tear down General Lee, Andrew Jackson, blah blah, anything that has to do with the Confederate Army or people who slaughtered Native Americans. And by the way, that is a major elephant in the room. I mean, you can be American and be proud of Europeans' accomplishments and all of that, and that's all well and good, but we have to reconcile at some point culturally the fact that we really did commit a genocide here. And I say we because we have a continuation of that government and that culture that was complicit and participated in that genocide. So, not that I'm encouraging, again, white guilt, because I'm not a fan, believe me. And anyways, Tom, to bring you back on the show, that's kind of where I want to open it up. How do we address these things without moving towards this knee-jerk culture of anything that could possibly be offensive has to be torn down? What do you think? It's a rough one, right?
It is. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
Because they are, obviously everyone has grown up with, our history books, and whether or not you think that, the history books are skewed, which obviously they are. They have all of these things to me, though, they're just opening up broader discussions. You know what I mean? Or hopefully, I hear them, at least, side conversations.
Sure.
Peripheral. But yeah, I mean, we were obviously, we all know the stories of Andrew Jackson with Davy Crockett and the Alamo, and you know what I mean. Generally, I don't really understand. I never quite understood how he was praised, anyways, because the other government won. Like, he tried forming his own government and ceding and overtaking the country.
Right.
I never understood how he's, like, another thing is, in my mind, I don't really understand what merit. I mean, most monuments that we have, all we celebrate are like warlords, our fucking military technicians.
Yeah.
That's all you have is like Custer in his town, Andrew Jackson. That's all. I don't see how we're celebrating anything about anyone who orchestrated. I get it. It was a political, maybe in the city at the time. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't see any, like, inventor. I mean, I'm sure there are inventors in their town, but you know what I'm saying? There's valiant.
We have our couple of token icons of that variety. You might see a Thomas Edison statue somewhere or something like that.
Exactly.
But you're not going to see
it. You see like a Marconi, or, you know what I mean? Like, people that actually accomplished something and weren't just responsible for like a million deaths.
Lewis and Clark. You'll see Lewis and Clark stuff around the country if you travel a lot. And
that's true.
It's usually, but
actually up in Marquette County, where I used to live in Wisconsin, Marquette University and all that stuff. That some explorer, whatever the hell his name was.
You used to live in Marquette. Did you used to live in Marquette, Wisconsin?
Marquette County, not in the actual town, but yeah, Marquette County. I lived in Westfield in Marquette County, Wisconsin. My mom still lives up there.
Marquette, Wisconsin, I've actually told people about a lot because I happened upon it traveling up and down the Mississippi one time just for fun. Marquette, Wisconsin is like this crazy little town on the side of a cliff right on the river there, and it's really colorful and unique. And just a beautiful, just weird little niche. I love that place.
Yeah, no, you know what? Wisconsin has a lot of weird little. I make fun of it a lot, and so does most people in Illinois, just because it's like that's just what we do. It's Americans towards Canadians. It's just like we're bigger than you, you're tougher than you, whatever. But in all honesty, like actually. I've been meaning to get back up there just because the city just drains you.
Marquette, Wisconsin. I remember when I was there, I went to a little a little tavern, whatever, and I swear to God, there's probably 150 houses in this whole town. There's not much, and it was a very, very isolated small town vibe. But every house is a different color. It had this awesome architecture built into the rock, on the side of the cliff on the Mississippi. And all this really cool shit going on. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the same place. And we were looking up. By the way, myself and my girlfriend at the time, she was probably 35 and I was probably 29. And we got, first of all, the bartender carded us in that way of like, oh yeah, right. Let me see your IDs. There's no way you guys. We're like, dude, we're fucking old. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But everyone in that town was like 55 or older, and the kids are trying to drink. And so That place actually left a big impression on me. I really loved it there. Anyways, let's get back to the thing here. As we But hey, look, divergences like this are what makes you be able to fill time on a talk show. You have to just.
No, it's true, and also, I mean, yeah,
you have to fill time with a bunch of shit no one cares about. That's the trick. That's how you get successful. So again, I think it's interesting that people are. I honestly I don't know where I'm at on the whole thing. It's true, yeah, it's weird that we celebrate these war heroes. There's going to be something wrong with every single one of them, and anyone that you can make a statue of, there's going to be somebody that goes, you know what? He once hit his girlfriend when he was 19. Let's take that statue down. It's going to, you know what I mean? And like, it's going to, there's something on everybody. That guy fucking never paid his uncle back for a loan to start his business. This fucking guy, this guy said nigger in 1972. This guy fucking, like, there's going to be something on everybody.
Yeah. No, I just went through this with the guy who's just a general miserable, dude. And I know him. He's like a family. He's a friend. Our families know each other, whatever. And he's younger. He's probably a decade younger or more. Probably a decade younger than me. Anyways, I posted something. It was MLK. It's Martin Luther King Day. And I posted something, just something very benign. I don't normally post anything about anything like that. Things I find interesting I might put up. But it was just something real benign. And he was like, oh, so you're supporting infidelity? I was like, what? And he's like, he starts posting all of these, right-wing website like articles about how the FBI tapped blah, 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 and he was, they found out that Martin Luther King was involved with prostitutes all the time, white prostitutes, da-da-da-da.
Oh,
and
wow.
90% of this has already been, I mean, J. Edgar Hoover, if anyone doesn't know, I was telling him this. I'm like, look, first of all, if you don't know the campaign that J. Edgar Hoover was doing at the time to try and, besmirch everyone's character, John Lennon,
sure.
There was just like a whole, anyone he viewed as counterculture, these were all frame-ups. This is all, none of this was legitimate.
And as we find so often in American culture, the people who are the most obsessed and fervently opposed to alternative lifestyles tend to have some awfully juicy secrets of their own.
Yeah, exactly. But my point to him was like, I was like, look, dude, I was like, the fact that you are discounting a man who literally risked everything he had, marching, and publicly trying to oppose the government. You know what I mean? And he was putting himself out there. I mean, right. This was a violent time, and he was and he did probably more. He is widely known as like the most thought-provoking, thoughtful. To try to besmirch now a dead Martin Luther King. I was like, man, you're just, at this point, you really are just racist. I was like, if you can't concede that Martin Luther King was a good man,
right? Yeah, that's
I really can't talk to you.
Well, and if you're somebody who supposedly values freedom and liberty, Martin Luther King is your fucking guy. If you ever black or white, I don't care. No, dude,
his sentiment.
The guy was. He was absolutely inspiring and just a complete.
He still is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. I think a lot of white people don't realize, because I think that's more a thing that black kids are taught in their families and schools, is this appreciation for Martin Luther King. We have a vague one, and we kind of know we're supposed to like him, but if you've never taken the time to listen to him speak and some of what he
poetic.
Did, man,
the guy was, yeah.
There's no such thing.
Unreal.
There's no such thing as being a lover of freedom and not loving Martin Luther King. And again,
no,
he was definitely killed by our government, the CIA and the FBI colluding and coming up with the patsy of what was his name, James Earl Ray.
James Earl Ray. I know
it was proven. It was proven in civil court. It was proven in civil court. No criminal charges were brought, but the King family.
But civil charges were.
Right, and the King family was, I don't remember what monetary significance there was.
Yeah, I don't know if they were awarded, but I know they were awarded a guilty verdict that was our CIA that had him fucking killed.
Oh, shit, sorry.
And
I had that clicking.
it was funny, though. I just recall this guy was like, he was being real smug, and he's not that brilliant, so it was a very easy. But he goes, oh, yeah, I guess I'm just not as down with whatever the hell, adultery. He kept saying adultery, like he's some kind of reverend.
As though that discounts Martin Luther King. He's like, he cheated on his wife. What the fuck does he know?
Achieving civil rights for an entire fucking marginalized population. Yeah, but I was like, oh yeah, I just put, and I was like, no, I know, I heard, what the fuck did I say? Now I'm drawing a blank. I was like, yeah, no, I heard Gandhi was a pornographer.
Well,
I just started doing that kind of thing.
Well, it's funny.
Shut the fuck up.
It's funny that you say that because Gandhi was a self-professed sex addict that routinely slept with teen girls, supposedly because he wanted to overcome his sexual addiction and confront temptation face to face. So Gandhi, it's pretty questionable as to whether or not he was a good dude. But I'll go ahead and say Martin Luther King was pretty on point. But
yeah, I don't care I don't care. First of all, I don't care if Gandhi slept with every teen girl over there. It's a different culture. America's really the only one that has that social.
No, but he was
in Japan. Now, I'm not saying it's normal, but like in Japan, it's not uncommon for businessmen to have like 12-year-old mistresses. We're the ones. I've been brought up over here, so that seems really fucked up to me. But I'm not there. I don't. It seems fucked up. So does public nudity. But if I lived in Greece or fucking France, you know what I mean? Americans are just the biggest stick up their ass idiots that have to like. But whether or not Gandhi was a sex addict or Martin Luther King cheated on his wife all the time, their accomplishments overshadow that by about a fucking billionfold.
Man, if it wasn't for if it wasn't, oh wait, if it wasn't for Gandhi, we'd still be fighting the Salt Wars. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
I got another person on the line. Tom, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go in a minute. But I just heard the old co-host of the show, the Earthling, on the line saying that something we said was bullshit. What did we say that was bullshit?
It's bullshit that those guys' fucking accomplishments far outshadow their fucking faults. Those guys are pieces of shit like everybody else. And why does every fucking establishment, this is your hero? Oh, these are approved heroes, but they're all fucking dead. All our approved heroes are dead? What are approved live heroes? Oh, well, their accomplishments. Well, their accomplishments don't prove shit. They're pieces of shit, too. They're dead as shit. They ain't gonna help us do nothing. Fuck them. You all heard me? This is our playing motherfuckers. Faggots, gays, blacks, and Mexicans are horrible. And I'm here on the show for one night and one night only. So,
all right.
There you have it.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
How much we can do with that.
Those fucking guys are horrible. I'll tell you something about Martin Luther King. His accomplishments far outweighed his fucking faults. First off, all he did was work for the government to put black people in a registry of citizenship who are only allowed civil rights in the Bill of Rights. First off, he was a coup. He worked for them. They think that they got rights. They got civil rights. They didn't get the Bill of Rights. They're citizens. He can hold his whole entire fucking race of black people into signing up to have civil rights, which makes them citizens, which does not allow them the Bill of Rights. That's why they have no fucking rights. He fucking burned his people. What are you talking about?
I don't think you're correct on that.
Well,
pretty sure that's
because I guarantee I am correct because civil rights are
black people aren't.
Hold on.
Can I continue, or do you want to continue?
No, go ahead.
I don't care. Either one of us is going to fucking tell the truth.
Go ahead.
civil rights and having a birth certificate and the right to vote makes you a citizen, which gives you civil liberties. Those aren't the Bill of Rights. You are a sovereign. So he fooled his whole people into becoming citizens of the federal government, one of the first. There was no citizens before the blacks jumped on board and the Social Security movement.
Are you hold on? Are you confusing this with the 15th Amendment or the 14th Amendment? Because that was a long time before this.
No, I'm not confusing anything with anything.
Okay.
If you have a certificate under the law, under admiralty maritime law,
right,
you are only allowed civil rights. You are, if you have a birth certificate, the law states you are a black person. I'm not bullshitting you. So if you have a black,
you have a birth certificate, and I have a birth certificate, right?
Right. Under the eye of the law, I'm a black person with only civil liberties. I'm not a sovereign with the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a contract between the sovereign and the inception of the federal government.
Yeah, no, I know. You're talking about the sovereign man movement. Everyone's starting to talk about this, how you can gain back your sovereign status.
Yeah, I'm into that.
And you're no longer, it's the contract about birth that you're going to, but you had you can't enter into a contract as a minor, so. But I don't see that has anything to do with Martin Luther King.
You can repeat anything you want. The law is the law, and that's what they follow. You can say that's bullshit, but half of our congressmen are not citizens because they know. Actual citizens of the United States, the federal government employees, they don't have the right to tell the government by law how to spend their money, and if they do, they're wrong. It's true, but it's complicated. And that's how they roll.
It is complicated, and
why wouldn't they be screwed? It's great.
Yeah, I agree that there is what we were really talking. Hold on.
Martin Luther King swindled his people into taking lessons.
Right. Okay. I'm not going to say that's an illegitimate way of looking at it. However, I do still think he was an inspiring, smart guy. Who
yeah, and not to mention, I think things are better for them after. Then let's just put it that way.
No, I actually, Tom,
it was an improvement.
I don't know. Hold on. I actually don't know if that's completely true.
I don't think anything I'm supposed to think. I don't think things because I'm supposed to think them. Trust me.
But I don't know if
there's
that's
a reason that I think things.
I don't know if that's completely true because, there was a lot of social trends in black communities prior to civil rights that took an amazing downturn after civil rights. And there was a lot of black nationalists and a lot of black people in general, I guess, who maybe think this way, will tell you, hey, look, the black community was better off on its own, pulling itself up by its own bootstraps and supporting each other's businesses and creating a market on their own than they were supposedly being integrated into a society that wasn't fair to them and that they arguably may have not been as adept to navigate business-wise and stuff like that. So I think there's some truth to both sides of it, really.
Nothing.
No, but Tom, seriously, if you look up like the rates of like violent crime or different types of crime or poverty or basically any trend that would indicate upward mobility in society took an exponential downturn after civil rights and through the 70s and 80s for black communities. And you can't blame it all on fucking crack. It's something happened. So they were honestly and here's the myth. Or maybe not the myth, but here's the selling point is like, hey, there were roving bands of white people lynching black people before this happened, and it was totally out of control and blah, blah, blah. I would wager that the average white person didn't want to see black people lynched ever. I think that's always been kind of a fringe group that did stuff like that. Whether or not people spoke up against it is another argument or another conversation, I guess. But you know what I mean? Like, I have a hard time believing this idea that whites were, like, frothing at the mouth, violent racists until civil rights fixed everyone. So, just from the numbers I've seen, black communities were doing
I had
well,
something to say about
on
that.
their own. What?
When the slave owner or the whatever, when they were slaves, he didn't wake up and walk out his door and say, "Hey, nigga, fuck you. Get over here so I can punch you in the face." He was like, "Good morning." That's what he said to him. Good morning.
Well, he could have, though. That's the point.
Fine,
yeah.
If he wanted.
But it wasn't like that. It was like, "Fine, how are you?"
You don't. You're going to say that you were.
You're not going to go out there.
Okay.
You're not going to go out there and beat him first thing in the morning. You're going to say,
"Look, there are people that go out and beat their own kids first thing in the morning."
Dude, listen.
Okay. There are people.
Hold on. Let me stop you guys for 1 second. Trix, is it possible for you to get? It's my friend Tom. Is it possible for you to get louder? Because Tom to get quieter, maybe, so I can balance you guys out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I can't really hear him that well. Is this better?
Do I look like a soundboard guy?
Can you turn your stupid volume up? I've got you both on the same channel, so that's the problem here.
I'm actually getting some really break up feed from everybody, so I can shit. So I don't know what that.
All right, whatever. Anyways, I don't see what your point is in like defending like how polite slave owners may or may not have been. It's kind of a non-issue.
I'm just saying Rio is different than what it seems.
Yeah, no, I get that, and
it was stable. It was stabilized.
At every turn, but see, at every turn,
my boss, I hate my boss, and he's me. I mean, the choice of my housing and where I eat doesn't make me not like a slave. It's the same shit. I mean, you just gotta,
Well, okay, and here's
it's not. It's not at all. No,
it's not the same.
It's not even.
You didn't have to worry about rent or food.
Fine, but it's arguably just because modern day life is arguably a different form of more covert.
Yeah, consumer racism. Slavery.
Right, slavery. Dude, if you've ever read like personal accounts of slaves and stuff like this, dude, it was
terrible.
It was unbelievably evil practice. It's not even an argument, it was.
No.
I'm not saying I want slavery. I'm just saying I want more freedom. That's all.
No, I get it, and I'm on board. I'm on board with the idea. Now, what we talk about with civil rights and stuff like that is truly what a person who I think like really wants freedom believes is that like everybody is capable.
Well, I was just saying what a judge would determine it as, and that's what a judge would determine.
Okay, fine, yeah, but anyways, people are generally capable of progressing in society. We've seen a lot of examples of it from a lot of cultures that have integrated into the United States and done very well. When there is
like the Japs,
sure, and when the government tends to exploit one group as impoverished and they need help, what's actually happening is they're going to find a more creative way to re-enslave them. So like I get what you're saying about civil rights, and what I was going to say going back to the 14th Amendment when they redefined citizenship. And that all had to do with the status of black people at the time, and should they have a vote or 3/5 of a vote, or are they a person? Are they a fucking human being? What is a citizen? Blah blah blah. There was a subtle nuance to that basically like my old co-host here is saying. It defined a citizen as somebody who's subject as goods as basically a barcoded UPC numbered product of the United States corporation to be subject to its policies and not necessarily federal law. You see what I'm saying? So they redefine citizens as goods that are subject to maritime admiralty law, like he was saying. So I understand. That's true. I understand that, and they mask it in this idea of like.
That's what I said.
I know. I'm just kind of trying to.
Bridge. Yeah, but Martin Luther King. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that he did that. He wasn't doing it intentionally. He did it Look, black people weren't allowed to vote at the time. Black people were not allowed to attend white schools. Black people were not allowed to use white bathrooms. These are realities. These are real things. They were not allowed. They had to.
I gotta stop you.
These aren't made up. This really was happening at the time. It was in the '60s. My mother was, an advocate at the time, and she was a protester. She like probably a lot of people were. This really happened. Black people were totally disenfranchised and marginalized in an actual way, not like they are now, like where it's clandestine and subversive and covert.
Okay.
It was blatant and it was legal.
Hold on a second. You're listening to three white guys talk about black people.
Private property and say, I don't want black people drinking out of my fucking water fountain. That's a social moral issue. It's not a legal issue. The government just stripped rights from property owners is what they did. I mean,
right. There's a bunch of subversive things about it.
If I own a business and I don't want black people drinking out of my fucking sink, guess what? I'm allowed to say that. It's my private fucking property. So what I did was strip power from private property owners and hand it over.
No, you can still do that.
No, I don't think you
can. You can still do that if you want. Yes.
No, I can't.
How can you not?
I think you would open yourself.
You say do it with gay people.
I think you would open yourself up.
True. Nobody does that.
No, dude. The last people that tried to refuse to make a gay marriage wedding cake in Indiana ended up losing their business and. Social implication or retribution will be different. But legal, I don't think you can get arrested for it. I'm gonna go back for 1 second, really quick, because Tom. Hold on. God damn it. Hold on, Trix. Tom, I just want to kind of just to make one correction. Black people have been able to vote since the 1800s. And it was actually women that weren't allowed to vote till the 1920s. So we fucked up back in the 20s. Hopefully we can mop that little mess up. But
what's that? I can't hear either of you now. You guys are like just...
No, I'm saying that black people were definitely allowed to vote in the civil rights era and well before into the 1800s. That was the 14th and 15th Amendment was all about allowing... And as they sold it as this idea that, like, don't you think black people should be citizens? What do you think they're not human? Written into the language of the amendment was also a redefinition of the term citizen. And that's where the subversive angle comes in. So anyways, but the point is they could vote since the 1800s, even if at one point they had 3/5 of a vote. That was my only correction to what you said before. But
that's very different. That's a little different.
No, I'm saying black people could vote long before the civil rights era. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's I gotta break this down to one caller because I'm getting too much.
I can't hear anything that you guys are saying. Anyways, honestly,
I'm getting too much noise.
Connection on the side is like.
I'm trying to balance you guys with each other.
I'm on the same page. But so intermittent, just breaking out.
Let's give Tom the floor for the last minute to kind of wrap up anything you want to be understood about what you're saying tonight.
Oh, well, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I guess back to the original point. Yeah. We really didn't even touch on it.
Well, dude, we're not. There's kind of nowhere to go with it. It's just like, I don't know, maybe.
But that's the thing is, that's what I think is like these stupid little squabbles over, which I see as, and which I think future generations will look back at as nothing. But these little squabbles over public statues of so-called heroes of American history, whatever. They're just going to open up dialogue more and more and more, and people are going to have to quit fucking pretending that everything's cool and everything's all right, and we can actually start having genuine discussions about what's fucking really going on. And I don't think it's going to happen. It's little by little, and that's what I think happens. And so that's, So I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think anyone's,
In the end, it's just a bunch of a new thing.
Just a bicker.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Really it's a thing to bicker about this month.
Yeah, that's all it is.
All right.
Wait, you're right. You have to have genuine discussions with retarded people about what we should do. No, he's right. He's totally right.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. All right. Tom, thanks for helping.
I remember this guy. I met this guy a couple times.
Yeah. He's a rare and dying.
I'd like to meet him. I'd like to meet him again. Actually, now that what's that?
He's a rare and dying breed.
Yeah, no. He's a funny guy.
You don't sound
all right, then.
That didn't sound genuine.
It's been real. You have fun with him.
That didn't sound genuine.
Yeah, I do.
You don't actually think it's funny?
Who, him?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
All right.
But that doesn't really matter. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. All right. But yeah, it was real. We're gonna do some other shit. You guys have fun.
Thanks for helping me out tonight.
All right, brother.
All right, later.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, man. All right,
bye-bye.
Later.
Hello? He didn't think you were funny.
Yeah. Dude, you're cutting out bad. What did not think I was?
He didn't think you were funny.
Oh, well, he's got to go blog about it now. Shit.
Whatever. Tom's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. He's actually...
I don't really remember this Tom, but that's fine.
You probably met him at some point. I don't know. You guys would actually probably get along fine. It's just one of those fucking things that people... It's the way we all fucking argue nowadays. It's all fucking stupid.
Well, I don't argue. I'm just very dismissive.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, we need to talk. Well, we don't need to talk. We need to hurt people. And then, people need to start get this dialogue. Dial what? Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna hurt somebody. Stop taking stuff from me, bitch. I mean, fuck this shit. Everything is fucking illegitimate. Everybody's fucking unhappy. Everybody's fucking sad as shit. And it's fucking retarded, and we have to resort to drugs and shit. It's fucking stupid. I'm sick of the whole fucking thing. The whole...
All right, well, I can agree with you there. Thanks for sticking with us on the Overdose Talk Show. Trix, hang out for a couple minutes while I take a quick break, and we'll get into some other shit.
I can.
You can?
I think that the signal's increased since you dropped the other call, but it's kind of intermittent.
All right, well, we'll deal with it. Whatever, man. Andrea and David Box joined the...
Can we use the phone number?
David Box joined the KKK and ran away from home, so that's why he's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing the white thing.
That's weird because I just joined S13 in La Raza, and I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
You're only 10% Mexican. You can't even be in that shit.
Yes, I can. They let me be in it. I'm the race. I just say si, senor, and then I always say I'd like a little donkey burrito, and they just let me in.
All right, we're going over back in a minute on the Overdose Talk Show. It's the Overdose Talk Show. We're back. And it's just me and my old pal, the Earthling, who was the original co-host of this show. I'm just going to hang out and talk a little bit. Why not? Right? The fuck else are you going to do?
Oh, it'd be much...
This show is all about regular people with no credentials just saying things that they've observed or that they think, in this age of free education, we're kind of all on an even playing field. Like, I've talked to a lot of fucking college graduates that are stupid as shit and know nothing about history and have looked into society only as far as the TV fucking shows them or their favorite professor. The idea that, some kind of credentials of a university or something like this puts you on a higher intellectual playing field than someone who doesn't have them is pretty fucking bunk at this point, I would say. So here we are.
What are you saying in like simple terms? What
I'm saying is, like, here's a show where real people who don't have to play this game of pretending we're not intelligent because we're not formally educated can talk and say whatever they want.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's this fucking thing that pisses me off about the idea of like, you know, oh, you're not a college graduate. You're not. You're
not a graduate of becoming a pussy through all the programs we push on you.
Right. You didn't take.
Being offended by fucking clapping and have to snap to agree because clapping could trigger someone.
Or you didn't take the straight and narrow, you know, the yellow brick road to mediocrity, you know, and become
what?
Yeah, dude, I just made that up.
Check this out. The whole schooling process is formed to weed out the free thinkers.
Oh, I thought you were excited about
all the free thinkers drop out at high school. They can't go to college. The whole system is designed to be like, boom, you can take this much shit, you're our type of guy. If you can't, we don't, you know,
That's exactly what I'm. That's what I'm exactly.
You don't deserve anything.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm just trying to introduce it. Like, hey, if you don't know, this is the show where regular people talk, and we're allowed to be intelligent without conforming to the standards of academia. You know?
Yeah, you introduced it hard, and then I went off on a fucking cool tangent.
That was cool. That was really cool. But I thought you were excited about me saying the yellow brick road of mediocrity, which I felt like that was slick, and I just came up with it on the spot. I don't know.
So you're like, yeah, that was pretty slick. Do you have like a slick board you can put the number over on?
I'm like, dude, on YouTube with about 43 people, I'm kind of a big deal. So you know, you might want to pay a little more attention to what I say.
So is gardening potatoes as a way of life. YouTube/YouTube.com. That channel is actually probably more than yours.
Yeah, it's depressing to see what does a lot better than me. I got in this fucking dude. I got in this like comment battle with this guy who goes. There's this little argument in this comment section where people are talking about how Bernie Sanders said, "If you're white, you don't know what it's like to be poor." That whole thing, and and this guy.
Isn't that guy white?
Huh?
Isn't that guy white?
No, he's Jewish. They're shapeshifters. If they want to be white, they're white. If it suits them to be a different, you know, race, then they're that. But you know, they don't want to be considered Gentile in some ways, but they definitely don't want to be considered a minority, quote unquote, even though they're the biggest racial minority in the country and have the highest propensity for financial success of any immigrated race, you know, in the country. Whatever. Okay.
So they have most of the money and the least amount of motherfuckers in the country, pretty much is what you said.
And I'm saying that it's convenient the way that they play their culture, in that like they're not a minority in some senses, but in other senses they are. They're a persecuted minority, but they're not a minority in the way that it would make us impoverished. You know, there's that kind of shape-shifting thing with them. So whatever. What was the point? What was the point of this?
So whatever. What are they doing? No, well, the point is, what are they doing? What are they putting? You're right. The fucking Jews own the whole entertainment industry. Put everything on television. Like I was saying earlier, fucking guys acting big, fat, 40-year-old faggots in suits that want to fucking talk like a 12-year-old little girl.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Want me to see, and they're willing to pay these faggots fucking like $2 million a year to fucking act like a little fucking.
Nobody knows. I don't think anyone.
The Jews are controlling that shit too.
Yeah, but you're just rambling about faggots and suits. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I was saying earlier about like these weird old guys on TV that are famous.
Yeah, that wasn't on the show though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I know, but like I told you, like I was saying earlier, because now you're talking about Jews and television and not what they own. And
you're talking about like
they own the entertainment industry. You put like weird fags on there, like we're supposed to like worship weird fags or something.
Weird fags, you mean like effeminate men with nothing of any like entertainment value to offer that are just supposed to be like fun because they're.
No, I mean like openly gay men that are like famous and like weird and like talk like little girls. That's fucking weird.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. It's weird.
I guess I get what you're saying about, you know, whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. I was talking about it earlier, and you fucking drove right into it with Jews running the country and having all the fucking money and all our entertainment.
Somehow every show we do comes down to Jews running the media and and the massacre of the masculine male. Somehow it always comes back to that. So I was
when you can see the giant programs of control and shit, you can identify which program of control.
But what is your point?
Is the end of any fucking argument, and you can be like, well, that's it. That's why we do it. You know, and fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But what? So to just sort of like to I don't know. He's trying to decipher your point here. What is what are you saying about like gay people in suits, or like, oh, you know, because I like, you can call them fags or this and that, but really what it is feminized men, right? And it's been popularized in culture in this way of like, there's nothing funny or clever going on, but just a man being like, just fucking just feminine and flamboyant is supposed to be clever and funny somehow.
Women.
You know?
They're not acting like women.
Whatever. We're going. Well, I'm asking you.
I fucking know.
I know, but I'm asking you what you mean, and if we're on the same page, is like it's not. I mean,
they're completely insane. Are making more money than me. They're completely insane. Weirdos, like creepy fucking weirdos.
I don't think we're gonna get anywhere.
Like, what the? We don't have to get anywhere. Creepy fucking weirdos are more than me in the lobby on TV. What?
What is your problem? What is your problem with it? Because I'm trying to give you a chance here and be like, oh, you're saying that feminized men have been popularized in pop culture and to the point that like just that personality type is revered for no particular reason and there's no entertainment value to it really, and you're just like, oh, they're just creepy fucking faggots. Like I don't get your really, you know, I'm trying to help you out.
What do you mean the real point?
Trying to help you out.
Everybody in the whole fucking country watches the same thing every day. Those creepy weirdos are telling people, these weirdos, and they're, like I said, they're acting like women. They're not even like gays acting like women. They're gays acting like young, like tiny women, like with like a.
Look, I'm gonna
describe it as like a black woman attitude, and they fucking talk like that.
I'm gonna take
you know, they say all this shit. It's fucking creepy weird, and everybody in our country watches it, even our children. They're like, look at this big weird gay.
No, I agree. I agree
that. What does that do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and I'm trying to.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm trying to intellectualize it more than you are, and I'm trying to go like. Of course I am. I know I'm a fag, but there's.
Well, I'm trying to read that word. Go ahead.
Why am I trying to read that word, you fucking faggot? You know, I agree up to the point that like when I, you know, because I don't watch TV and I don't participate in most of like the fucking, I guess what you would call like homogenized entertainment and mainstream down the pipe force fed, you know, media. So when I do notice that there does seem to be a push in media towards the massive feminization of men. And I do see it manifest in society where like a good 60-70% of the guys I meet are not fucking dudes anymore. They're not fucking guys anymore. And, you know, there were some negative aspects to being guys. There's things that we all need to work on. But it's not the male fucking persona should be completely done away with. It does seem creepy to me. It really does. And I'm not a fan of the stereotypical gay guy at all. The materialistic, loudmouth, flamboyant, fucking, like, that's no one I would never hang out with them, ever. Like, it's just... No,
just look at what he is, like, just on a logical standpoint. It's a weird guy who, like, loves loud and streaks, that likes to fuck other men and have other men fuck him, and he's wearing.
Well, see, and to me, it's less.
Runs around shrieking. It's like, wait! You're the shrieking man who likes fucking his balls. Like, that's me. And it's like, you should respect me. Like, hey, what the fuck are you talking about?
When you put it that way,
you know what I'm saying?
The shrieking man that loves his balls licked.
And he shrieks to let others know. He doesn't shriek because he likes cats or has like a garden in his house. He shrieks because he wants other people to know that he likes them.
No, and you know, like I've been annoyed since I was in high school when like kind of being gay became like a cool thing where you noticed like somebody would get more attention than they deserved.
Real cool thing. That was nice.
Well, yeah, just for, and it's
Somebody
like
would get what?
this gets misconstrued as like, oh, you can't be how you want to be. It's not about that. It's about cultural trends being pushed for subversive reasons, where like the masculine male is being done away with because these are the people who can actually defend their families and societies and identify threats to their communities and maybe actually do something about it.
That's outside of the average person's box, dude. You're talking about outside of their box.
I know, but I'm just explaining the whole spectrum of it really quick. But you know, it's not to say it's not to say.
Smart people
See,
will
for me,
but I mean that's outside the whole box. They can't even understand that.
Whatever. The thing
they can't be explained to.
The whole thing for me is it's not about like fucking. It's not about sex. It's not about any of that shit. It's about the weakening, and I don't even want to say. And like you said, it's kind of an insult to females to say that this is feminine, but that's part of our limited vernacular is to call a weak male feminine. So I admit that's a bit flawed, and you know, it's not that females are weak, but like what we call the feminization of male culture has a lot to me to do from the establishment's perspective of cultivating a populace that doesn't have traditional male qualities that could oppose establishment oversteps. That's I think what the main philosophy is that we're getting at. So yeah, dude, I
wouldn't call it philosophy. You're saying theory, like the bisphenol and just feminizing of men and shit like that. You're talking about that,
right? Exactly. Yeah, all of that ties in.
Well,
definitely.
There's bisphenol in the fucking plastic bottles when there's 160 ways to make them cheaper.
Hold on, you were cutting out for a second. You were cutting out for a second. There's bisphenol A. People know it as BPA's, bisphenol A. And it's
there's 150 ways to make it cheaper, but they use the bisphenol fucking plastic product.
Right, and it's an estrogen mimicker.
Since we were kids, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that acts as an estrogen mimicker in the
it's an estrogen mimicker. It makes you into a woman. It's a hormone. It fucks with your endocrine system, pineal gland,
right.
And all that. But also, we were told since we were kids, like, oh, well, birth control can't be filtered out of the system, so we're getting all those female hormones coming in, drinking our water, and all that business. And it's just like, it's really weird. Like, they're like women, and women are like men.
Yeah, and
in the 80s, talk shows used to be about men cheating on women. Now it's about women cheating on men. Empowering women and men crying and not the women.
And again, see, me and this guy talking right here, I know we come across maybe as insensitive, this or that, to some people, whatever, who cares. But, you know, we are two people who are more accepting of individuals that we meet in life than probably 99% of people out there. And neither one of us has...
We're talking realistically about issue.
Exactly. And neither one of us has a problem with any individual person that acts the way they want to act and feels the way they feel, and a fucking girl that wears fucking hoodies and acts like a dude and says fucking, you know, all kind of male slang and stuff, or a guy that's feminine, whatever. Neither of us ever give a shit about that at all.
I don't get mad at those weirdos.
No, we're talking about cultural.
Talk to me in a workplace, it's like I don't like try to beat them up. I'm like, yeah, how you doing?
Dude, we're talking about cultural. We're talking about like the covert, you know, cultivation of cultural trends by behind the scenes powers, basically. So that's.
Well, basically, it's also this. I come from the suburbs of Chicago, which is one of the biggest metropolises in the United States. So it's one of the four biggest metropolises of the United States, of suburbs. And every single dude I see is gay. Like, okay, I'm from one of the biggest metropolises, city fucking population density in the country. Every single dude, I go to fucking Donuts, the guy's like talking like a little girl. I go to fucking work, there's fucking 40% of the dudes are talking like girls.
How about the?
I go to the fucking 7-Eleven, the gas station, or the McDonald's, and they fucking talk to me like I'm little girls.
Right. No,
Listen,
dude, I
I don't have
agree.
to fucking look at a piece of paper or go on the internet. I don't have to read about what's happening.
It's a weird place.
I walk outside my house and everybody's fucking gay, talking like little girls, men.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? I'm in a science fiction fucking movie. I'm in a science fiction movie.
And it's a weird place to be because as a truly live and let live person, you go like, look, I don't really want to hate anybody for their lifestyle or any shit like that. But then you go, there is something creepy about this trend. It doesn't seem natural for this many people to be weak and passive and for lack of a better term, feminized. And again, I know that's kind of a shitty way to say it, but it's a weird
It's not a shitty way to say it. It's how you can explain it, and it's how you meant it. So who the fuck cares how anybody dies?
No, because I feel like I should have a better word for it. Honestly, I do.
That's cool, and so does everybody else. And no matter how good you feel that you said it right, somebody's gonna hate on that as well. So.
No, I'm sure, but I'm not. I don't give a shit, dude. If I gave a shit about what anybody thought about me, you think we would have had this past fucking 45 minutes of conversation? Like that would have never happened.
No, I'll talk about it even more. Kelly's weird, and like when you and like I said, it's like living in a science fiction movie. Like,
yeah. Let's just take a whole fucking left turn really quick though.
1,000% like small town. Like they're like they meet their best.
You cut out.
Staring off in the distance.
Hold on, you were cutting out for a minute.
No, I never. What?
You're cutting out for a minute. I was gonna take a whole left turn anyways and talk about Gary Johnson for a minute. Because.
I don't know what Gary does if you want.
Well, I guess he's got a pretty high percentage of the vote right now. He's at around 11% or something, and it's he's polling 11% nationally, and it's kind of indicative of, like we were talking about earlier, how most people are, if they were gonna really identify with a party, if they were honest and they really didn't have these tendencies to try to join a team that they've seen represented in the mainstream media and they have social cues to identify with, they would probably be libertarian. So, what's come out...
Exactly.
And Gary Johnson is a guy, like, he was a Republican he was governor of New Mexico, I think. And he... is a guy right now that, polls have indicated that of active voters, about 24% of people even know who Gary Johnson is and what he stands for, and about 11% in the same polls, people support him. So almost half of people.
That's only a number that you're telling me.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Like an ideology or something.
I get it, but I'm saying that. Hold on. I get it. I get it, but the significant thing about it is almost half the people who even know who the fuck the guy is support him, and that to me is kind of says
being a libertarian is like that. When you learn about it, you're like, I like everything
that is
you
me,
just said.
Right? Yeah.
And then,
well, I think there's a major.
What the fuck are you gonna do?
I think with people that support Bernie Sanders, I think a lot of them, if they thought a little bit further, they'd be libertarians. And I think there's a big misconception that libertarian is right wing, and that's really not true at all.
Well, so you're talking about talking points stuff though. That's not really relevant.
I know.
Most of the voters are workers who get their money stolen and given to the takers. People who work who give half the money to the takers, and the takers. That's all people voting. That's how the war is going to start. I mean, that's what they're trying to play off each other. People who work, and people who don't. People who don't work, and they're like, fuck it. Give me your money, bitch.
I think that's a lot of it, but I think there's billionaires supporting Bernie Sanders and all kinds of people who.
No, I know, but what about the voters? What about
Nah, dude, it's not. It's more
complicated. And plus, you're not going to believe Fox. And CBS. Come on.
Yeah, I get that viewpoint, but there's a lot of people of all kind of walks of life supporting him.
Supporting Bernie?
Yeah.
Yeah, my boss is a small business owner, supports Bernie Sanders, big-time socialist, Fidel Castro fucking supporter. Yeah, he supports him. He doesn't know it. He supports him because he doesn't like Republicans. He has no idea what the difference is. He just supports him. He doesn't know what socialism is versus fascism. He has no idea.
But I've been listening to Gary Johnson talk a little bit, and it's like, you know, it's kind of refreshing as compared to the other candidates that it's more like Ron Paul. It's like, yeah, that just makes sense. Like, he talks about, like, look, I don't want to make any laws about your lifestyle. I don't want to fucking talk about what you do. I don't want to do any of this shit.
It's libertarian. He's a Libertarian Party head guy.
It's completely liberal socially, which that's what the left votes on and galvanizes on is social issues. So if you're a left-wing person, or you think you are, or you're a progressive, whatever.
Yeah, it's like a left-wing person. You no longer need the choice of abortion or not abortion. That's
combined, but
job.
like
combined. Oh shit! Now we'll vote honestly, probably, and not become this narrative of weirdo fucking political talk that's trapped us in this weird diversion.
Right, and if you can let go of the idea that government financially can bail people out of things, if you can just get over that, which is pretty easy to get over. If you can get over that fucking unsustainable, completely idiotic concept that the
government doesn't have anything for the
exactly. If you can get over that, you will be a libertarian. And I don't even think
you have to take it somewhere else.
I'm further down the road. I'm probably closer to an anarchist than a libertarian. However, I'm just saying,
I'm 100%.
Yeah. So that's Gary Johnson. He's
you know why? Because you know why I'm 100% anarchy now and not in the past? This is a big. Nobody will be able to stop anybody else from starting a government because there's the government. And I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. But it should be given a shot for once and some stats.
Oh, you know what, dude?
Hopefully the government that's not there doesn't murder everybody.
You know what? I forgot to mention this. I think it's tomorrow. The first ever nationally televised libertarian debate is going to be happening tomorrow on the Fox Business Channel, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I mean...
So especially there is a fucking... like a fucking stupid financials debate or something.
So it'll be easily... So, yeah, you can guarantee it'll be easily written off. It'll be poorly mediated and completely useless. So there you go. You've got your first libertarian nationally televised debate. Nice job.
No, you have to remember that 95% of the country thinks that Democrats and Republicans is actually part of the government. So don't forget that part. You have to remember that part.
You mean they think they're actually working against each other?
They think that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are branches of the government. They don't know that they're private parties. And that's the truth.
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
Like, oh, and they're talking to each other like, oh, the caucuses, and it's the law. And I'm like, that's not the law. That's a private party. They can make rules. It's a private organization.
Right. Well, why do you think the Republican Party right now in both parties you got things like this? The Republican Party is openly discussing having a brokered convention where they basically decide, regardless of the popular vote, who the best candidate is, and they decide to run with them. And the Democrats have all this scumbaggery with the fucking superdelegates, where superdelegates are getting interviewed.
There's superdelegates on the
hold
other
on,
side
they're
as
getting.
well.
I know, of course, but I'm saying this is what's going on right now in both parties. The Republicans are talking about brokered convention, and the Democrats are talking about, they interviewed superdelegates that said, look, even if the popular vote goes to Bernie Sanders, I think Hillary is the best choice, and that's what I'm going to vote. So we're fucked, dude. We don't have... Voting is useless.
Well, it's not... it's not useless, but everybody's an idiot also.
All right,
they only have Democratic Republicans to choose from. They have no idea the structure of government. They're retards.
You know what?
I'm going to say it one more time. Real nice and slow and clear to you.
All right.
Retards. Everybody. You have to remember that. It's like us, like I said, aside.
It is getting scary.
Walking
out there,
around.
Check it out,
and
dude.
I can look at silly people at work, but I'm just taking people's orders. I can make them do whatever I want. Just by talking to them, they're fucking retards.
Yeah, I agree, but I gotta let you go because this is getting too choppy,
I don't care.
and too like the fucking signal is not working out.
You're a signal. You're working out.
Yeah, I'm a signal. I'm working out. Any other?
Yeah, why don't you go listen to some cool beats, idiot?
Any other final thoughts on any of the? Hold on. Any of the things that we've talked about tonight, I guess, or whatever you might have some compelling opinions on. I know that you didn't really get your view out on a couple of things, so I'll give you the floor for a minute. Really
I
quick,
don't give a shit. I think the bottom line about from the last thing we were talking about is.
All right. Thanks for that. The Earthling, everybody. And we are actually, fuck it, I'm having fun tonight. We're going to keep rolling and do a couple more things on the Overdose Talk Show. If you enjoy what we do here, stick with it. Back in a minute. Hey, it's the Overdose Talk Show. You've heard some views expressed on tonight's show that might make you uncomfortable, might make you feel angry in certain cases. Whatever. This is people honestly talking. You know, you've heard a few different perspectives, and a consistent theme has been, even as varied as these perspectives have been in nature, a consistent theme has resonated here is that there's a lot of dishonesty and a lot of people just fucking acting fake as though they're these righteous, virtuous creatures when they aren't. A lot of self-hatred. A lot of bullshit. You know, I'm going to say that most of the people who would be offended by stuff in this show would probably be white. Because white people have really fucking... We've really become horrible. Nobody's honest anymore. It's all this bullshit posturing. And this virtue signaling and blah, blah, blah. And look, being a good person and being a hypersensitive, over-scrutinizing douchebag are two different things. So that's kind of what you're hearing here is the real white people, hopefully. we're trying to be the real white people around here, or the real people in general, you know. And there's a lot of fucking fakeness, especially from white people. Just stop. It's everybody else is out there still doing their thing, you know. We're the ones sold on this idea that we're culturally responsible for everyone else's pain, so we have to be these, you know, pious. Oh, I would never say anything. We're all fucking. We've all culturally we've become the Richard Pryor impression of a white guy. That's what we are now. It's pathetic. And people, you got to get real. I mean, dude, come on. Look, some of this stuff is uncomfortable. Some of this stuff is not probably even right, you know. Some of the stuff we've said, I don't know. But look, dude, this is real shit. You know, I got to be honest with myself. You know, I'm a different person on this show than when I just call up my old friends. I'm going to be totally honest right now because we've kind of gotten into a lot of this stuff tonight, and I like to defend socially liberal positions just as I like to defend some things that are interpreted as conservative, I guess, although it's so fucking crazy to me that I would ever, knowing my background and my philosophical upbringing and just my life in general, that I would ever be considered a conservative is so hilarious to me. And yet my views on many issues align with conservatives, and it's just a really strange sort of reconciliation of logic for me to come to terms with this. It's just weird. So what I'm saying is white people are fake as shit. Everybody's got to open up, and even me, I like to think I'm myself and really brave and honest on this show, and I think to a certain degree I am. However, I got to admit, the Earthling who was on the show before, he challenges me to really be honest. Because when we talk alone, I'm just going to be honest with the listeners of this show. I'm a little bit different. I'm a little more fucking militant and less, I guess, for a better lack of a better term, PC or something like that. And I'll leave him a message that's like, hey, faggot, you fucking take some dicks in your fucking ass, you fucking cocksucker, fucking faggot piece of shit. Dude, I'm just telling you, be honest. We all, not all, but a lot of us are different people with our close friends where we feel comfortable than we are in any way that we might be interpreted. And we're trying to do a thing here. We're trying to be honest. We're trying to be a little bit unafraid of judgment and just put it out there. So take it for what you will. We're all cool to hang out with individually and blah 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 blah. I want to get into some Planet X shit. Some Planet X, ninth planet, whatever the fuck we're at now. A researcher, I guess, thinks that the mysterious Planet X is causing mass extinctions on Earth. And I know we've heard this theory before, most of us, but there is a guy, Whitmire. Where is his name? I don't know where it is. His name is Whitmire. I remember that. And he's basically saying that no, there's not this ninth planet on an elliptical orbit of 15,000 years. It's actually more like 27 million years. And what's happening is it's going to pass through the Kuiper Belt, which is, of course, it's a massive array, I guess, of comets. I don't remember exactly the terminology of when they become meteors or meteorites or this and that, but the Kuiper Belt is all these comets out in space, various sizes, probably from the size of a marble to the size of a boulder, and this is a massive belt of debris that is supposedly orbiting through the universe. Okay, so if you have a massive elliptical orbit of 27 million years, as this guy proposes, again, the name Whitmire, Whitmire, it's going to pass through this, and anytime it does, supposedly it's going to be responsible for massive die-outs, comets hitting the Earth directly and becoming, redirected in such a way that they cloud and block out the light of the sun. So the other sort of alternative theory on this is, hey, that we don't really have evidence of that. We're pretty sure there's this ninth planet that goes around that the Sumerians talked about and all of this, that was originally known as Planet X, that takes about 15,000 years to go around, and we're pretty sure of that. And you know what? From what I've read, it's pretty hard to dispute that at this point. Not only the anecdotal evidence of the ancient peoples who seem to know about it, but also the newer evidence that's coming out about space, the analyzation of flickering and wobbling and blah 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 of different things and the way they determine this stuff. So that's what's come out about Planet X, and this guy says, hey, look, this is indicative of mass die-offs. And I thought it was interesting because it kind of ties into this other story, twin comets whizzed by Earth, fulfilling the last Hopi prophecy before the arrival of Nibiru. And of course, Nibiru is another name for Planet X, or the 10th planet it used to be when Pluto was around, or the 9th planet, or whatever. This other planet that's on this giant elliptical orbit. So, the reason I found that interesting is because the Hopi tribe has always been a great source of extraterrestrial fodder in terms of legend. And of course, legend is one of those things that's arrogantly interpreted by later cultures to be, oh, this is made up. This is just, they wrote down this thing that we don't know about, so that's just a thing they made up to explain complex concepts. They couldn't possibly have understood the world around them, so they had to make things up. No. The real truth is that legend is just a word and could be describing some sort of fable that's made up to teach a lesson, or could be describing a story that's actually recorded as history that modern historians feel doesn't jive with their narrative, so they say, okay, this is clearly not a historical record, it's a made-up story. So there's a lot of nuance there. And the Hopi Indians had all these stories about what seems to be aliens. There were some stuff that resembled the Book of Enoch, where some lost children were taken up by a visitor from the sky in a magic flying shield. I think they interpreted it as, with a glowing face and a giant headdress, which, as they drew, looks like a helmet. They had these stories. They also have had legends about the different phases of humanity and how they have survived mass die-offs and this and that, and refer to it as the first world, second world, third world, blah, blah, blah. And in some of their legends, they talk about these people called the Ant People, okay? Interestingly enough, in the Hopi language, ant is Anu, A-N-U, and friend is Naki, N-A-K-I. I guess I'll leave it at that. But the parallels between Egyptian culture and early Mesopotamian culture, Mesopotamian culture, they're almost endless with the Hopi. There's language similarities, cultural, artistic, architectural, a lot of links to Egypt, Africa, the Middle East, blah, blah, blah. And again, this is what I consider to be kind of a dead argument, but it keeps going in mainstream history, archaeology, blah, blah, blah. It's the idea that ancient cultures were isolated versus the idea, diffusionism or something, I forget what it's called. The idea that oceans and waterways were not barriers, they were highways. And I've heard that said over and over. But the idea is that Hopis were influenced by a lot of different ancient cultures. I guess there's some evidence that Egyptians actually landed on the West Coast and reached Arizona. Anyways, the Ant People supposedly took the Hopi tribe underground during the Ice Age and taught them to cultivate bean sprouts in underground caverns. And, they took them down there to be warm. This all also ties into a Hollow Earth. Surprise, surprise. But the Hopis, still to this day, have a celebration where they commemorate the event that the ant people, the Anunnaki, right, a Sumerian term, help them survive by taking them underground and teaching them to grow some food underground to keep their people alive. This is just historical record of what they said, and it's very strange. You know, the Hopis were the same people that predicted many, many years ago that, we're talking hundreds of years ago, that humans would at one point communicate via a spider web or some other analogy. I know they used spider web, but there was another analogy too. And obviously we don't even have to speculate as to what that could mean now. Now, okay, kind of broad, whatever. But there's a lot of these that come up with the Hopis. You know, it even goes as specific as for them to say that towards the end of days, people would live in the sky and women would dress like men, and they, you know, I mean, it's a bunch of these things. You can look into it for yourself. But anyways, one of their prophecies was twin comets whizzing by the earth before the arrival of Nibiru. So now, as we're seeing, you know, more and more people are starting to talk about, look, there's this planet, it's on a 15,000-year orbit, it's coming back around. The Sumerians knew about it. The Dogon tribe at the base of Kilimanjaro knew about it. The Aztecs knew about it. Blah, blah, blah. We had all this anecdotal stuff, and now the scientists are starting to catch up and go, okay, no, it is really here. And there's this Hopi prophecy that says this will happen, and then the return of this planet. So I just thought I thought it was interesting to go into because of the way we all continue our normal lives. You hear about something like this and you go, okay, interesting. I got to go to work. What are we missing from all of this? What are we missing from the fact that the Hopi tribe had the same word for their alien visitors as the Sumerians? Or that the development of language around the world seems to have happened around the same eras independently, and you know what I mean? There's all these things that suggest a possible extraterrestrial interference in human history. And this is just another one. 2 twin comets as part of Hopi prophecy, right as science is confirming the next step of their prophecy will probably come true. And I think I'm going to leave you with that tonight. I know it's been a little weird, a little interesting. Whatever, man. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for supporting real people being who they are and not having to play media games and not having to worry about sponsors or what anybody fucking thinks. Blah, blah, blah. Again, if you stuck with the show, you disagree with us, you hate all this shit, I really do appreciate you hanging out and giving it a chance. And we do, we have open phone lines a lot of the times, and call into one of our live shows and make us fucking feel like idiots. Great. Do it. Call us up and tell us something we don't know about. Call us up and whatever. Send us an email at sundayeveningoverdose@gmail.com. I know that's the old name of the show. We also have a website now, theoverdosetalkshow.com. Nothing's going on there yet, but check it out if you want, and you can go to our YouTube page from it. There you go. That's all going to be hosting our RSS feed, so we can get up to different podcast sites and things like that, so we can expand a little bit. And I just want to again, thank y'all for supporting Real Radio, Real Talk. And it's been a pleasure to hopefully entertain you this evening. I hope I've done that to some degree or another. Again, love us or hate us, get involved. The Overdose Talk Show on Facebook, OverdoseTalkShow@gmail.com or something. I don't fucking know. See you next episode.